So for this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Harley Davidson news. As of yesterday, there was a new post that was put on the official Instagram account from Harley Davidson. And if you guys were following my channel, you guys probably saw the clip already. And it's showcasing a little bit more on the Lowrider S as expected for the 26th of January, which is the media day that Harley Davidson Motorcycle Company has been advertising for quite some time now. And what we ended up getting was confirmation of some of the specs that I found online. If you haven't seen that, do go check out that video because I go detail line by line on how different it is from the Softail 114 Lowrider S. However, one of the things that I pointed out was the instrument cluster or the gauge on the specs. It specifies a 4-inch display that is analog and digital, and I made an assumption that either it was an error or the new 2022 Lowrider S is going to get more of a fat bob type of instrument cluster that's going to be hanging on the handlebar. And based on the official video that you just saw, it clearly shows that's exactly what the Lowrider S is getting. I have had the chance to use that gauge and it's not a bad gauge. It's a very clean instrument cluster. It's a little hard to see the speedometer because the tachometer is so large and it takes up a lot of space. But the cool thing is it has everything you really need. It's got the analog tachometer on top that shows you the RPM. And then on the bottom, you got the speedometer plus a fuel gauge on how much fuel you have left inside the tank, which comes useful if you aren't really tracking your kilometers or miles based on your trip A and trip B, how I do it as a poor Sportster rider. So it's nothing spectacular, but I'm glad that it's not getting the Sportster S circular TFT display because, to be honest, I didn't really enjoy using that, especially with all those buttons that comes with the Sportster S and the Pan America. So I'm glad the Lowrider S is still having the traditional analog / digital gauge. So I think it's going to look really nice on it. And then as well, you get to see the top of the fuel tank, more of a flushed out design where you got the Fxlrs emblem in the middle, and as well as just like the Fat Bob, it's going to have a single fuel cap on the right side. That's kind of all we got out of the video. Obviously on the 26th, you'll definitely get more of a presentation from Harley Davidson about its history and as well as what to expect from the new Lowrider S, plus the touring kit that they've been talking about and teasing us with. One thing I also wanted to put into this video was potential announcement for a new Sportster. I kind of expected this, but I didn't know how much in depth that they were going to talk about it. Yesterday, I watched a really good interview from Matt Laidlaw's YouTube channel where he actually interviewed the Vice President of Designs, which is Brad Richards. And it's a really good interview, so I really suggest for you guys to go in and watch it. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long, but I was entertained throughout the whole time, and I learned a lot more about Brad Richards' mind and how he envisions the evolution of the Harley Davidson Motorcycle Company from here and forward, especially with the Revolution Max engine. So I'm sorry, Matt, I'm going to use a part of your video, but it was just something that I think my viewers can benefit from. So there's a segment where Brad talks about the Sportster S and the Revolution Max engine. And one of the key things that he talks about, or at least slips a little bit, is the 26th of January, which is coming up next week.
Like from here on out, I think everyone's going to be just so stoked with the product. And I mean, on the 26th of this month, I can't wait to unveil. I mean, can't wait for you guys to see what we're going to show you.
We can't wait either, man.
Yeah.
I originally thought it's going to be all about the Lowrider S, but I think there's going to be an announcement of another Revolution Max bike, whether it's a smaller teaser or just a visual image. I think we're going to have a new Sportster coming up this year, and I believe it's going to be the 975. And I showed that a couple times throughout my channel as well. But I really think this time they're going to announce the Sportster 975 because after the cancellation of the Evolution Iron 883 and the Sportster 48, there will be no more entry-level bikes that Harley Davidson will be selling at that point if they don't have a 975, because the smallest bike after the Iron and the 48 is Pan America and the Sportster S, and both of them are $20,000 and above. I don't care how much inflation you're putting onto this, $20,000 is not an entry-level bike. So I think Harley Davidson is working on an entry-level one where it'll be below $15,000 Canadian and potentially below $10,000 US. God, we're paying so much as a Canadian. $15,000, that's a huge markup. Must be all the tax. I think they really need to get a move on this if they want to put it into production either later this year or next year, but you got to market this up pretty early on. And that's why I think on January 26th, with the confirmation of what Brad said on Matt's interview, I think that they're gonna announce something with the 975, or maybe they're gonna bring back the Bronx, because if you watch the whole interview, you're gonna get the idea that Harley Davidson is on the rise. Like, they're out there hunting down different types of motorcycles out there to get that dominance back from the market. They definitely weren't scared to go into the adventure touring bike territory, and they did it phenomenally with the Pan America. Apparently it's like the #1 sold adventure bike in North America last year, which is crazy on its first year of release. And they're not scared to venture out into the sport category or the naked bike territory. So I would really be hoping that they actually bring back the Bronx after seeing the success of the Pan America, because I think Harley Davidson needs a naked bike or a track bike. And the Bronx, it got a lot of people excited when it was first announced like 3 years ago. When the rumor came around that it was going to be canceled last year in 2021, I think a lot of people were disappointed. These are people outside of the Harley Davidson fan database. So I think this is a very positive movement, and I'm really looking forward to the 26th of January to see if they're going to announce a new variation, or hopefully more than one variation of the Revolution Max engine. If you wish to support this channel, please click that like and subscribe button and continue to help me out. Other than that, ride safe, ride prepared, ride on. Peace.